live with Rashad, and we're talking about mental health. And I want to make sure that I can actually share this. Um, okay, we'll give him a few minutes to join. Okay. So, once he joins, we're going to talk about mental health as a leader and kind of a little bit of backstory for me. I've been on a journey of like what helps me improve my mental health as a leader and as a person, and not being born and raised in the mental health space or having those resources. It's been a journey on like what works and does not work. Um, just make sure that he can join here. Let me see if I can add him. We'll give him a few minutes to join. Alright, so let's see if... Alright, we're waiting for Rashad to join. Anyways, back to mental health and the topic that we're talking about today. As leaders, as humans, it's very important for us to take care of our mental health. Everybody knows that. But then it's like, how do we actually get started? And where do we start with mental health? And for me, it's been journaling. It's been a lot of different tools. I've used human design in a lot of mine. I've also used, I've done a lot of therapy. So I've went through EMDR therapy. And then nature seems to be one of my other big tools for mental health. Let me see who... let me check my messages to see if he can join or not. Okay. But yeah, for mental health, like for me, it's like it's whatever is going to work for you and you specifically. You have to try things to see like what's going to work. And there's seasons of this too. So there could be seasons where journaling has helped your mental health, or being around community has helped your mental health. And then there are seasons where you may have to switch that, and you may have to look at different things that actually help you grow and to understand like mental health kind of switches and changes. For me, like when I was going through like depression and all these things, I was looking for different tools and resources versus where I'm at now. I don't feel like I am going through those stages of life. And sometimes that can be challenging of like, what do we need right now in this moment? And how can we find the tools and resources that we need? And there's tons of like different tools and resources that you can find online, but it's finding one or two that's going to work for you and then sticking to that. And the consistency, it's really important for the consistency on mental health. So you can't just start meditating and then decide I'm not going to do it after 2 or 3 days because it doesn't work, but to actually keep doing it. And even when your mental health is really good, it's also very important for you to continue on that and not stop the process. Because a lot of times we start the process and then we stop the process because we're like, oh, I'm good, right? Let me see, Rashad, if I can bring you online. Add as a moderator. I don't know how you can join from here. Can you, Rashad, see if you can request to join the live? Because usually you can just request and I'll see the request on the screen. Let me know if you can request. But back, because I don't know how to bring you on. I don't go live enough on YouTube to know how to bring you onto the screen with me. I usually just send people the link and then they like hit the request to join the live or join the collaboration. Let me see. I don't see any buttons that, because I can start a poll. Okay, well, we're gonna roll until he can He's figuring out how to join. But back to mental health. So it's like, what is going to work in that season, and then learning to sustain that. So it's not like mental health is this one time and done thing, right? It's like kind of like working out. So if you were trying to work out and stay healthy, to stay healthy, you wouldn't just go to the gym one time and just be like, oh, I'm good, kind of like mental health. You wouldn't just do the activity one time or just worry about your mental health when depression hits, but instead do it any time where you kind of like to keep it consistent, so on a daily basis. And there's signs that I personally get when my mental health is starting to go downhill, and I'm like, all right, I got to do like some self-care, or so like be extra heavy on the activities that fulfill me and to light me up. And I feel like as leaders, a lot of times we get so wrapped up in everyone else, and we forget to like focus on ourselves. We forget to like look at like what is going to fill me up, and how can I stay in the best mental health space so that I can pour into others. Because we all hear this, we all know this, that if we are empty ourselves, then we're not going to be able to pour into others. We're not going to be able to serve in the best way as leaders. And it's very important for us to continue to understand that. So, how do we stay fulfilled? How do we keep our mental health very, very high? And kind of going back to some tools. So, there's therapy. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do therapy. And I'm like, okay, well, then do journaling. Like, find the things that help you mentally to sustain that. And I feel like there's a lot of stigma around mental health in those conversations, and especially in the workplace and the work culture. It's like we don't want to have the stigma of like, oh, I have bad mental health, or we don't want to tell our leaders that. But if you can communicate that to your leader to say, this is what I'm struggling with, and I would love support on XYZ, then they can help you. And as a leader, you should also be looking at the signs as your team. Like, is your team burnt out? Are they showing signs where their mental health may be declining? And some of those indicators are very subtle. So maybe they start to get more quiet in meetings, or maybe they start to be very quiet in the meetings. Their productivity goes down because there's something else that is going on in their life. And yes, Shantae, thank you for your comments. There are a lot of resources, and it is very important to choose what works for you. 10 out of 10 agree on that point. But when we see it as leaders, the little subtle shifts that we can pick up is productivity will sometimes decline, and they get quieter in meetings. They feel maybe a little closed off. And as a leader, you get to understand it's not about you. So when you see these shifts and you're like, okay, they might be struggling. Rashad, I just saw your comment. So no request feature on your end. Okay, so I don't know if YouTube has the request feature where you have to have 1,000 users or not to go live. I don't know what their requirements are, because my platform, I think I'm like at 4,000 subscribers and it's monetized. So we will discuss this later in the chat, but I was hoping to bring Rashad on to talk about it. If you see him in the comments, please go follow him. He does incredible work around men, just having men's circles that are very healthy. And I've really watched him grow this. And I really wanted to talk about mental health, because I feel like me and him I see a lot of his content and I can resonate with a lot of his content. So definitely go follow him online. And if we can't go to live together, we'll do a recording and post it on YouTube. Just so to bring it more to light, like the mental health and the way we as leaders get to shift the cultures and how mental health is reviewed. There was one thing that I implemented one time with a team, and it was called a mental health day. So if you just sent me a message and say, hey, I just need a mental health day and I need a day off, I would approve it, no questions asked. And yeah, the team could have taken, they could have really taken advantage of that, but they never did. And I knew that was also an indicator for me as a leader. I'm like, okay, they needed a mental health day. So where was their workload at? How were they feeling? And those are the types of conversations I would have with my team. Like, how are you feeling? Where's your workload at? Where's your, how can I support you to make sure that their mental health is being taken care of. And this is one of the intentional work I want to do with leaders, is one, to make sure the leader's mental health is good, so you can also make sure that your team's mental health is good, because that's going to be key for us as we change cultures, as we change the way that the world sees mental health and the way that we see employees and the way that we lead. It's going to be huge for us. And I feel like we need to talk more about this and provide those tools and resources. I know some companies also give like access to the Headspace app, and they have different things, but a lot of times when it's coming from HR, it's not always openly like I'm not really going to like go to HR and say I have a mental health problem, or it's not that open concept, versus if it's coming from a leader and the leader embodies like, hey, I understand mental health is important. It's important to me. I want it to be important to you. Then the team can open up a little bit more and start to practice that, because a lot of the times the people on your team, they don't understand maybe that they're allowed to have this, or they've not been raised with like, hey, your mental health is important and you need to vocalize this when you are feeling XYZ, or when you need a break. And getting out of that hustle grind culture we've been into, like the corporate world has been such hustle and grind that it doesn't take into consideration our mental health. Like you work 40 hours a week and then you have like 2 days on the weekends to recharge, and sometimes that's not enough. Even as a business owner, I know sometimes I need like 3 or 4 days after I've gone through a sprint of work to replenish where I'm at and to refuel. And then, not to mention all the personal side, being a parent, being a friend, like all these other personal sides that we have stacked. And so then our mental health just takes second place, and prioritizing that is going to be key as we continue to build different cultures and different things. So if you are a leader watching this, I would love to hear in the comments what you do for your mental health, and also how you can make sure that you sustain it for yourself and for your team. So let me know in the comments. I know this was a short live, but we'll bring Rashad back, and definitely have him back on a recorded episode where you guys can get specific tips from him. He is a therapist and has a lot of different techniques. But yeah, until next time, go take care of your mental health.